Bittersweet today, people. We're saying goodbye to John Rambo.
But he ain't heavy. He's our brother.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. Nah, I can't get the fucking song out of my head now. I just can't.
The original is a great song, as I said in the Rambo 3 podcast.
I know, but it's still pretty cheesy.
No, that version of it is.
Yeah, so it's been 10 years later. He said in an interview that this was the last one, but then he said it might not be. I don't know how to go with this one when it comes to the ending. We mentioned in the last podcast there, the best ending might have been the last one.
It was.
So where do you go with it? Are you trying now? He's saying goodbye to his characters like he has with Rocky, through Rocky Balboa and through Creed. Under wonderful films, and kudos the way he's done that. I think he kind of bit off more than he can chew by doing another one of these. But yet, I can't say I didn't like it.
Exactly.
Now, the original script for Rambo Last Blood was written a few years back. And it was about a vet of sorts that goes back to his small hometown roots. And he finds out that the hometown he grew up in has turned into, thugs and drug dealers and stuff like that. And how he's going to clean house. That was the original script. That script, something went wrong. I think Stallone decided just to sell it off. And that became a film called Homefront. Which is actually not a bad little film with Jason Statham.
I haven't seen it. But it does, with you talking here about it, it does actually sound quite similar to the plot of the Shane Meadows film, Dead Man's Shoes.
Yeah, okay. Well, he sold it. And if you watch Homefront, it says story and written by Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Which I think that might have been a good way to go. Keep it in the small town he goes back to, because that's where he was going back. So this is where you kind of go outside the box with this one, but I get why they did it, because with Rambo's, despite whether you think they're too funny or too over the top or too whatever, too dark, whatever, they always have something relevant going on in today's world.
Did you know that another version of this script featured as the villain Will Teasel out for revenge on Rambo?
No, I didn't see that.
Yep. That could have been interesting.
That would have been. I would have liked to seen him team up with Rambo, because I always thought Teasel was underplayed character.
Teasel and Rambo in the original novel are basically neither of them is a good guy or a bad guy. They're just two men who don't get on. But they're also coming at it from different. There's a conflict there of the different sort of generations that they're from. Also, Will Teasel fought in the Korean War. Rambo fought in the Vietnam War.
Yeah, but that's something that's never told you in the movie.
Yes.
And that should have been.
Yes.
Because in the book, his character is just as big as Rambo's.
Yes.
So we have more structure with him. With Dennehy's portrayal, nothing against Brian Dennehy. God rest his soul. I love Brian Dennehy. He just wasn't given enough.
Yeah.
So also something was missing.
Also, we discussed this actually a couple of years ago on our First Blood podcast. In the original novel, Brian Dennehy, Will Teasel, is having a really shit day anyway, because his divorces come through and stuff. He's being divorced.
Yeah, we talked about that in the podcast. Guys, you should go back and listen to that one. That was one of our first podcasts. That's the one Trevor fucked up on too. I want to put that out.
With the technical level, yeah.
Yeah, want to hear a story, guys? Why not? I want to throw Trevor in the bus.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Trevor's a man, because he thinks he's like Rambo and he likes to fight snakes and shit. So we're recording First Blood, and as you know, we don't know what we're doing.
We still don't.
And yeah, we still don't. So Trevor comes aboard. Let me do First Blood. It's my favorite movie. I love it so much. I read the book and everything. I'm fighting snake right now. So I'm like, okay, you can come on and do First Blood. This is one of his first. So we long story short, we have a way we record our podcasts and I have to merge all three of them. And we used to record through Skype and then through Audacity. And Skype was a backup. And we don't like to use Skype because the recording isn't as good. So we did the Rambo, and we're all very proud of it. I'm actually, guys, check it. Besides the sound quality, it's actually a very good podcast. Me and yourself, Trevor, actually make some very valid points.
Yeah.
And Chris at the time was a big fan. He made some valid points. It was actually a very good conversation about Rambo, First Blood. But as we were done with the podcast, Rain Man here goes, oh, hey, it was really good. Doing it in Stallone. And we're like, well, yeah, it was pretty good. Now, my Audacity shut down halfway through. But don't worry, guys, my Skype kept recording. And I said, but why didn't you tell us we could have paused and got this? Oh, I didn't want to interrupt the flow.
I didn't. I thought these were recorded. I didn't know these were edited, to be fair. And I didn't know that.
So of course we have to add. So, and then
it was like my second podcast.
Long story short, don't try to defend yourself. So long story short, we had to take the Skype recording. So that's why it sounds kind of not the great quality that you get.
Yeah, it was like my second podcast with you guys. I didn't really know the technical ins and outs of it. I sort of knew how to basically talk shit about films, you know. But yes, so there is a little bit of a sound quality discrepancy in that one, and that's down to me. I'll admit it, because you know what?
But it's actually, all joking aside, you can still, we're fine. The quality's fine. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, and it's a good podcast. I'm actually very proud of that one, the First Blood one. Yeah. So you can listen to all of us, you know, and it's kind of fun when I love doing these. And I think this year we're going to do a lot, because we're going to pepper in some new releases here and there. But because new releases have been kind of far and few between, we're going to start doing a lot of these retrospectives, because it's kind of fun going down these paths.
Yeah.
And seeing, because like Rambo 3, I hated when I saw that in the theater. But now I saw it again, I'm like, you know what? This is not bad. This is actually quite quality stuff.
Well,
so, you know, we always talk about through the podcast eyes or revisiting something. We see it once and we see it again, like, oh, maybe I was wrong. But you see it again, and that can reverse.
I can go either way.
Going, you know what? I actually do like that film.
It can go either way. There can be a film that you absolutely loved as a kid, or you know, whenever you first saw it, and then you see it again and you say, nah, maybe that's a bit shit.
Well, let's get back to Rambo: Last Blood. Now, this was directed by a man called Adrian Grunberg. He was not a bad choice, because he did a film called Get the Gringo with Mel Gibson, which is kind of fun, about a man in a Mexican prison. And it's got this kind of feel to it. It's got a lot of escapism and stuff in it. You should check it out. He hasn't done much really since. He's more behind the scenes guy. I think he's done some DP work and stuff. But interesting choice. Very minimal cast in this one. This one kind of sticks with what John Rambo did, and with First Blood, they keep it more grounded. There's not much really to go with this one. This is kind of where, like, goddamn, I mean, I enjoy it, but was it necessary? And I think that's where our conversation is going to be here.
Exactly. Of course, there's two cuts of this film as well.
Yeah, there's an 89-minute and then there's a 101-minute. People, do not see the 89-minute. You have to see the 101-minute.
It is much more effective, and it lends much more context to Rambo's character, especially.
Yeah, especially even the opening scene was I'm shocked they cut.
Yeah.
So
apparently that was down to test audiences, younger members of the test audiences who said they didn't see the reason for this scene where Rambo is trying to save these people from a flood, and there's also extra scenes that make a lot of sense for the villains as well.
You know, it's funny because that scene is who Rambo is.
Yeah.
So it's giving you, for the younger viewers, a quick glimpse of what this man will do to help you.
Yes.
So that's why would that not make sense? Also, fuck you. It's not for you, you young viewers. It's for me.
but also, yeah, well, exactly. It's it should have been kept in for the theatrical releases because it just you get a bigger picture of who Rambo is and what he does.
Well, the good news is the one they pretty much only released now is the 101-minute one.
Yeah.
So.
And Stallone himself says this is the real cut.
So 10 years later, after John Rambo, he's living on his father's ranch. His father's now passed. It's too bad we didn't have that meeting. You know what I mean?
Yes, that would have been nice. Even they could even had it at the end of the fourth one where he's walking up the path. Maybe you just see his father. Just something very brief.
Or even a flashback.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who would play his father?
What?
Who would play Rambo's father in an imaginary world?
Well, we'll say he's probably 70 now, so 80. I would say
Kirk Douglas.
I'd get no,
if he was still alive, obviously.
He's almost the same age, but he looks older. I would probably get Nick Nolte or Robert Duvall.
Yeah, Kirk Douglas if he was still alive for me.
Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Douglas.
Potato.
Michael
potato,
Douglas
tomato.
potato, Michael Douglas
potato.
is going to listen to this podcast and he's going to find you and kill you. He's 5 years younger than Stallone.
No, I'm Rambo, so I would kick his shit in.
Oh my
Michael
God.
Douglas.
Anyways,
I said Kirk Douglas, by the way, not Michael.
Some sad news. Rambo 1, Rambo 2, Rambo 3, and Rambo 4 always had a main character or a sidekick, I guess you could say, in those films. And sadly, that sidekick is not present in this last one. That's right. Sylvester Stallone has gotten rid of the mullet.
Yeah, he's got his haircut. Rambo got his haircut. Is it like some sort of Samson from the Bible? Does he lose his strength a bit whenever he loses the hair?
Well, in all fairness, he doesn't fight much in this one.
Apart from the end,
it's all pretty much doesn't really fight anybody. He just traps them.
Yeah. He goes stealth Rambo.
What a lot of people don't realize is they have to accept the fact that these actors are older now, but you're not. No, you are accepting that they're older, but you're not accepting that they can't do these movies anymore. But you know what? At least these actors, the Harrison Fords, the Stallones, Schwarzeneggers, at least they're playing their age. They're not trying to, be fucking Superman like they once were. They're old. They're bringing back some of their old characters. They're old. They're withered. They're tired. They're fed up. And it shows per film as they bring these characters to another decade. So they're not, I don't think they're doing the characters any injustice. I mean, at the end of the day, we kind of like to see these guys back on the big screen, and we know when Stallone is Rambo. We know Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones. I will never see anybody else playing John Rambo.
No.
I will never see anybody else playing Indiana Jones.
No, yeah, I agree.
I mean, in this day and age, people are paying money to go see Mick Jagger, and nothing against the Stones. I'd pay to go see the Stones. I saw John Fogerty from CCR, 78 years old. This man is fucking playing guitar, harmonica, running over the stage, all over the place, hitting every note at 78 years old. I'm next to my friend contemplating, do I want to walk down 2 flights to get a beer because I'm a lazy bastard?
To be fair, though, while it's great, and I'm a big fan of the Stones, and I like Creedence Clearwater Revival as well, and, good on those guys. But to be fair, they're just up on stage singing songs and playing instruments. They're not going down to Mexico to kill bad guys.
Yeah, but he does.
I know, I'm joking.
I know, I obviously know you're trying to be ha.
Yeah.
But I think this is a much more grounded Stallone.
Well, yes,
this is a guy who can't take the hits he once did.
Yes, and he gets a really
and
bad.
That's what I was kind of going with, and I think that's why the film might work. It's kind of like the last Indiana Jones. I really enjoyed it. Everyone knows I loved it, but a lot of people didn't want to see that Indiana Jones. They didn't want to see him withered.
I didn't.
They don't want to see him worn down. They don't want to see him struggling. That's not who our hero is. But I disagree. I think we needed to see that. And I think we needed to see this. And this is why this film was a necessity.
Right. My take on both the recent Indiana Jones film and this last Rambo film, Last Blood, while I enjoyed both of them in a certain respect, and certainly certain aspects of them, I don't think we needed either of them, either the most recent, the last Indiana Jones film, or this Rambo film. Now, that's not to say I disliked them, because I didn't. You know what I mean? I thought, in my opinion, Indiana Jones got a very happy ending, a perfect ending at the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, when he married Marion, and Rambo got a perfect ending at the end of Rambo 4. But these films were made, so we'll have to sort of look at them anyway, and you know, there's good points as well. There's a lot of good points with both of them, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I think the reason they had to do Indiana Jones, and you and I both disagree with this because we said this in the podcast, people hated Crystal Skull, but you and I didn't. We actually thought it has a lot more replay value than it
improves
It improves with rewatching. But I think the studio, we have to go out with something people are going to like better than Crystal Skull. And they did accomplish that.
And let's not be naive either. There's money involved here. You know, making money with bringing these characters and films back.
All right. This one, we got Stallone. So there you go.
Yep.
there you go.
And an older Mexican woman and a younger Mexican woman.
Yeah, you got Stallone played Rambo, and then we just pretty much got the Martinez brothers. You got Maria and Gabriella.
Yes,
that's pretty much all you really need to know. So it's 10 years later, and so concept is he's let his nanny, who's I can't remember if she was with him when he was a child, but I know took care of his father.
And
with the father,
and whenever the father passed, Rambo let her stay along with her daughter and granddaughter. Her daughter passed, you know, the mother of Gabriella, but Rambo, because he's at heart a good guy and he has a good heart, let them live with him.
The story is quite simple. She takes off to Mexico to meet her father. She wants to know why he left, and he goes back to get her.
But in the meantime,
that's the story.
She's being kidnapped by sex people, traders.
Yeah, traffickers, we call it.
Yeah. Also, he's more like a surrogate father. Rambo's like a surrogate father to her, compared to her low-life own father.
Yeah. I think Maria, the grandmother, says that actually.
Yes.
I think it's. I mean, even though it's at the end of the day, it's a Rambo film, and it's not a long one. It's the shortest of all of them. I do think that it needed a little more meat in the bone from the traffickers' point of view and from Rambo's point of view. Just more.
We do get a little more of that with the extended cut, including the fact that the two brothers don't get on, and there's a bit of a conflict there of, you know, who controls the gang and stuff like that with the extended cut. But yes, we should have had more. And in fact, I would even say that that this doesn't really, at times, doesn't really feel like a Rambo film. It's just more of a generic sort of revenge thriller.
Yeah, it is. But again, I think you can kind of say the same thing with the first one, because technically the first one wasn't really an action film either.
Yes.
It was more of a survival film with a thriller aspect. The action came really, I mean, yeah, there's action in it, but I still wouldn't it's like Halloween. It's not, to me, a slasher film. just because the ones that came after it
Yes.
upgraded themselves to a slasher, the first one I still think is more of a thriller. And I think that's how I feel about First Blood. And that's why I kind of still going toward this one. I'm not saying you're not wrong, but it still ticks the boxes of a Rambo film.
I think you make fair points. And as we've discussed even, outside of the podcast, there's similarities here to the original. It's basically Rambo going up against a gang. In the first one, it's a gang of cops. In this one, it's the gang of the traffickers. When he's sort of outnumbered, and it's the first one. The original First Blood to me is more of a drama. It's not really an action film. It has action elements, but so there is, as you pointed out, and I agree. There's similarities here to First Blood and Last Blood.
The only action scene in this film
is the end.
Is the end.
Yeah,
really, and. I mean, pretty much how Rambos work, and even though we leave a Rambo film with a smile on our face saying that was entertaining, none of the Rambo films have a happy ending. None of them.
I know
that. He's still fighting a war between himself and others.
Yeah.
There's many lives have been taken. It's not like the only one in any of these films
that I think gives him any sort of proper ending, as we've just discussed, is the fourth one.
Maybe, yeah. But again, that what we just talked about, should this been made?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like to see him back on American soil. That's another reason why I think this got made, was because it started on American soil. And
full circle.
So it's nice to have full circle. He goes back home. Unfortunately, he still gets fucked, but at least it's not by the hands of his own government this time.
Yeah.
So
well, there's a certain tragedy to it. The fact that and he says it himself at the end, and towards the end, and it's pretty obvious anyway. But the only family he ever had is ripped apart from him.
Yeah. And I've got that in my notes. There are scenes in this where, and I'll when we jump into them, I'll get to them. You see his rage.
Yes.
And it's not just Rambo going, and he's getting a bow and arrow ready to blow some Viet Cong up or something like that, or somebody Burmese dictator. He's seething.
Yeah. I would add to that Stallone's acting totally sells it. It's very good here.
Yeah.
And those scenes especially.
Exactly. There's this even the scene where when he tries to save the hikers, and he finds one of them dead and the other one wants to go find her body. He says, "Don't do it." He can pretty much only save one at this point.
Yeah.
And then he sees the body bags of two people. Even that one little, you can see him looking down at himself, almost like he blames himself for that happening.
He does.
And but it's almost like the whole weight of the world is on this man's shoulders, but it isn't. He just thinks it is.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And yeah, and Stallone sells it. The more so, I think, in this film than any of the others. The burden of Rambo, of being Rambo.
I do like the fact that, through the years we talked about his little opening intros, walking through the streets in Washington, trying to hook up with his old soldier buddies to, stick fighting.
Yeah.
To
snake wrangling.
Building snake wrangling with his friend Trevor. and to pretty much just he's a farmer.
Yeah.
Now
he's a horse farmer.
And I'll tell you what, man, that farmland's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, beautiful scenery.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah.
No, Arizona.
Sorry, yes, yeah.
It's great. Like great. This film is really nicely shot, and it's got some beautiful background. And I would have went back home there a long time ago if I was Rambo.
Well, it beats fucking wrestling snakes. or stick fighting.
You'd probably be bored of it at this point because you've done so much snake fighting.
Oh, yeah, well, again, a lot of similarities to me and John Rambo.
I think Brian Taylor's back. He did the score for the last one. He's replaced Jerry Goldsmith. And Brian Taylor's a pretty solid composer. He does that. He blends his own theme with the
original,
the John Rambo theme in there too, really nicely. Actually, the score on this is really good. Yeah. It's a modern take on it, especially the end credits. Sadly, people, and I hate to say it, it's really sad face. We don't get another theme song at the end of this one.
Yeah. I know.
It seems like when the 80s died, the cheesy part died.
Yeah, so did the mullets, so did the theme songs.
Yeah, you lose the mullet. There's no more. Well, you can't really have a theme song about trafficking.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a bit sort of distasteful, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She was a wee one.
She went to meet her father. You know what I mean? I would say as well, just to come back to what you were talking about the scenes where you see Rambo's rage. Actually, some of the best scenes, there's actually no violence, but there's the threat of violence, like whenever he approaches her father and also the dipshit fucking friend of hers who sets her up.
Yeah,
and
that little,
there's and that is really effective. That it's a threat of violence, but without actual seeing any violence. Where he says to her biological father, I should have broke your fucking neck when I had the chance, and then the dipshit girl.
Yeah, like when she decides to go and she meets the father, and the father's actually having a conversation with her, she just wants to know why he left. And then he was being all nice and stuff, and then he just turns. And he says the most horrible things to her. When your mother died, she left me with you, and I didn't even want you.
Care, yeah.
Why did he die?
Well, exactly. But I would say as well that I have to be honest and say that the villains in this are a bit over the top in that they're like they have no redeeming qualities whatsoever, and I include the father in this. It's like they're so fucking dislikable. It's a bit too much, I think.
Well, you kind of do that with all the films.
Yeah,
they're usually pantomime villains. Even the last one that you liked. These guys were probably truth what we talked about, what those bastards did back over there. But the villain's always going to be over the top.
I mean, there's no nuance here. I mean, these people are just out and out fucking vile,
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to go back to full First Blood where the guys chasing Rambo aren't bad guys either.
There's no complexity here,
Yeah, First Blood is a lot smarter film.
Big time, yeah.
Than what we've been getting in this franchise. Not to take away from the franchise, but come on.
Yeah. I mean,
I said this about every film. You can't touch the source
material. Well, even in the fourth one, they have this, Burmese brutal dictator, and it's just and he's a complete and utter fucking vile human being, but just for good measure, they make him a paedophile as well, It's so it's like there's no subtlety,
Well, just God, how do we really? I don't know. Make him a pedophile. Perfect.
Yeah, it's like there's no subtlety here, with the villains after the first one.
So she gets pretty much Mickey'd.
Yeah.
And then we meet Don Manuel and the Martinez brothers, and these are the big traffickers in Mexico here. And Giselle kind of set her up a bit.
Yeah, she was a moron, but
I would like to see her get it. I don't get why. This movie has some balls to it. They should have really... Now, I can get why he didn't kill the father. As much of a douchebag the father is, he has nothing to do with this. He technically hasn't done anything wrong.
But also,
so Rambo isn't going to kill him.
But also it would have really hurt Gabriella as well. If Rambo would have done that and killed her father. As confused as she was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
But the friend, I think, although she is a total moron, I think she was basically, from reading between the lines, it appears that she was forced into setting these girls up. I'm not defending what she's done, but it appears the gang have forced her. They've said, we'll spur you from being one of these prostitutes if you set up other girls for us, type thing. So I think she was forced into it. Although she did steal her mum's fucking bracelet as well. So, I've no sympathy for her.
Yeah, I know. The force thing, I'm getting sick of hearing that shit.
Yeah.
I would have killed her.
Well, Rambo was going
to. He wanted to. Like you said, there's things where he wants to, but he just can't do it. He wanted to kill her. When he slams that knife in front of her, when she's lying to him, because he's wearing the necklace, he's wearing the bracelet of Gabrielle's mother.
And that's another thing about Rambo that he doesn't get credit for as a character. He's actually very smart and very clued in,
Oh yeah, he sees everything. And so when she goes, okay, if I show you where they are, we're cool, right?
Yeah.
And all he says is fuck off.
Yeah, a brilliant line. I love that. So it's just fuck off. Yeah. It's just so simple. The simplicity of it,
Now, of all the killing Rambo's done, of all the killing, all the knife gouging, all the throat gouging and napalm deaths and Gatling guns.
Yep.
This next scene I can't watch. Oh fuck!
When he gets beat up.
Fuck that. When he takes his finger and he punctures through a man's collarbone
and
he starts ripping out the collarbone by his hand.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Then stabs him with the Bowie knife.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck. But this is what I'm talking about. His kills or tortures become more personal and aggressive because this is more personal to him.
The hammer killings, whenever he bounces in with a hammer, he's like a fucking serial killer.
Oh my god. And when he's hitting them, you can see, and when he hits the guy in the balls, and which he deserved.
Yeah. He is, and he's taking no prisoners, because these guys aren't even the traffickers he's killing as well. He's killing the Johns, the guys who are just in having sex with these girls. But to Rambo, they're part of the problem too, which they are. And Rambo,
of course they are. They're just as bad.
Yeah, they're the reason for these fucking corrupt businesses are set up in the first place. And he is showing no fucking mercy here. Taking no prisoners, and that particular scene with the hammer killings is pure horror film stuff.
When they surround him in the roof and they decide they're not going to kill him, one of the brothers decides not to kill him. He just says, we're going to let you go, but we want to let you realize that we're going to make your little niece or whatever they think, daughter.
Yeah.
We're going to pretty much kill her slowly.
Yeah.
She's going to be used and blah, blah, blah. Pretty much just...
Can I just... There's a very important point of the plot here, I feel, and I caught it more this second time watching it. Right, Rambo makes some stupid fucking mistakes here. At this point, just before he gets the kicking, he doesn't go stealth Rambo, and basically he gets caught.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know what I think on the second viewing? First viewing of that, when I first watched it, I thought this doesn't seem like Rambo. You know what I mean? This is he getting old or whatever? But see, just before that, you know what he does? If you watch closely, he fucks his medication away, and I think that's the reason for his mistakes. He is on medication, presumably it's never explained, but he is on medication, presumably antipsychotics, and he throws them away outside the bar, and that's when he starts to make mistakes.
Yeah, it could be. And his age, like I said, we talked about that just a moment ago. When we see how these actors, they're playing their age, so they're gonna fuck up.
Yeah, but I think it's directly related to him throwing his presumably antipsychotic medication away and stopping taking it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What about the journalist character?
And also with them cutting Victor cuts the V into his cheek.
Yes.
The only reason they did all this is so to introduce this character who's kind of pointless. Carmela.
Yes.
She's the reporter.
Yes.
What a pointless character this is. She's only there to
she's a plot device.
Give him bed rest.
She's a plot device. That's all she is. Apparently, the actress who plays her is quite a big South American, actress name, but the character is just a plot device to get Rambo from A to B to C.
Yeah, no, she's a big Paz Vega.
Yeah, something like that.
I
Yeah.
think her name is, or something like that. No, she's done a lot of work, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there's this montage as he's healing 4 days. He's healing for 4 days. We
He
find
looked
out.
like Rocky actually. Whenever obviously it's still Sylvester Stallone, but he's got the same eye scars as Rocky's had many times.
Oh, okay. So, anyways, 4 days he's healing, and during this montage of him healing, we see this poor girl get injected with heroin, getting addicted to drugs, getting raped.
They're tough scenes to watch.
Yeah, they're not gratuitous, believe it or not,
No.
but that's how strong these scenes are.
Yes.
You don't have to show much to know what's happening.
And I'm glad we didn't see it. Didn't.
No, of course.
Because
You don't need
let's
to
be
see
honest here. Like but the Rambo films aren't exactly known for their subtlety, but they do maturely not show us. Thankfully, the stuff that's the main stuff. It's more suggested the stuff that's going on with Gabriella at this point.
This is where, when he's healed now, he's going to get her out of this, I guess you can say, brothel.
Yes.
And he walks in. I'm looking for a young girl. I heard you have young girls. And has the one guy's going through. He's getting condoms and shit for the guy. It's really creepy what he's getting them. You can see Stallone in the back. Just he's shaking.
Yep.
He just wants to get the. Now you're right. That could be the meds, and it could be withdrawal. It could be anger. Either way, this guy's going to go off in 2 seconds.
Pure rage. Yeah.
Pure rage, and what he does with just a single hammer.
Yeah. It's hammer time, as MC Hammer once famously said.
Yeah, just nuts. And he gets her, and it's so sad because there's nothing he can do when he's driving her to try to get her home in time. Yeah. And he's trying, you got to stay up, honey. You got to stay up. Keep talking to me. And all her last words is, I'm sorry.
And he talks about her achievements and winning the sort of horse competitions and stuff. Presumably she was playing American football with a sheep. The Stallone taught her.
Remember the Dead Sheep Circle?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was a wonderful times.
You won all those trophies, stay with me.
Stay for Dead Sheep Circle.
Yeah. It is heartbreaking because she's just a kid. I say heartbreaking, obviously it's, not real and stuff, but it's emotionally played and it works very well.
When he buries her, he buries her with a cross. Is that one of his medals?
No, I think I was thinking that as well. I think it was one of the medals she won from playing cheap American football on a horse. No, I think it was one of her own medals that he was talking about whenever they were driving in the car.
Okay, gotcha.
I did think that. Hear me, is that like his sort of Medal of Honor or whatever? But then hear me, no, it's maybe one of her own medals.
Maria leaves, the grandmother.
No, she doesn't leave. Rambo sent her away because it's time for Hell Hath No Fury.
Oh, yes.
Like a Rambo scorned.
Yeah. I guess these traps they used was what the Viet Cong used.
Yes, they were apparently.
Yeah, which is creepy and scary to think about it. So he's got 2 things here. He knows they have his license, so they know where he lives. So he just needs to rock the boat a bit.
But he does it on purpose.
And yeah, so he goes back into Mexico, and you're like, oh God, not back and forth. But no, it's just to kind of nudge them in the right direction. Yep. And in order for them to do that, you think the big fight is going to be between him and Victor, because Victor's the nut job, and he's the one who carved the V in his face. Yep. No, they just go up the room, you go up to his room, and you see Victor with no head. And then you see Rambo just chuck Victor's head out the window.
Nuts. But it really, I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Because he's such a vile character, he deserves it anyway. But again, let's go back to the horror film elements. A fucking beheading. He's lying on the head, on the bed with his head completely removed by Rambo, and then Rambo. It's almost like darkly comedic. Rambo saying go back home to Arizona. Flying up the motorway and just rolls the window down and fucks your man's head out. It's fucking nuts.
So when they show up and take him down to the barn, I mean, it's fun. He did this a couple times in the films. Anytime he sets some of these bastards on fire, he then suits him because at least he's humane.
Well, I mean, these guys are obviously dead, whenever the spikes get them or the fire or whatever. But just to make sure, Rambo pumps them full of, again, it shows his vengeance and his anger. It's not even anger, it's pure rage. And
yeah, there's even the ones that they're literally getting their heads blown off clean.
Yeah.
And he'll still shoot them to make sure they're dead. Because he's using, is it right, magnesium shard bullets?
Yeah, well, you see him whenever he's doing his whole A-team bit before this scene, where he's like planning it all out and stuff. He's doing something with the, I mean, I don't know the technicalities of, these.
No, I think, stuff. Well, it says magnesium shards, and he's putting it, he's replacing that with, not gunpowder, the pellets. Gun pellets? Or gunpowder? I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's causing the bullet to explode on impact.
It's like dum-dum bullets, basically, as they were known, where they exploded upon entry.
And then he's playing the Doors 5-1, which it's kind of
well, that makes sense
ironic.
Because apparently the Doors were what a major amount of Vietnam veterans listened to during that war.
Oh, of course, yes. Yeah. CCR would be up there, and Allman Brothers, all these bands. So I think it would have been better if it's he ain't heavy, he's my brother. Would have been better in the background.
No,
he ain't heavy.
No. But I tell you what,
it
does go into the realms of cheesiness whenever Rambo is like killing people to a soundtrack. And it's not even. It's basically it's diegetic. It's within the scene, and it's he's like got the doors pumping, and it does take away a bit from the seriousness and the rage of Rambo, where he's got the doors pumping, and he's like wiping out bad guys.
I mean, and then at the end when he sets up the bad dude, and he arrows him.
I love this. I have to
against the
admit.
barn. And he just goes and he takes his heart, and you see him carving out his heart as he's screaming in pain.
Yeah.
He takes the heart out and he shows him his beating heart.
Yep, brilliant.
Right, but he only lasts for like a half a second. He dies right away.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a fucking heart.
Yeah, so I don't know. Would he have
died?
He would have died during that process, I think. I don't think he'd still be alive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no doctor. I'm no Doogie Howser, but I would imagine not having a heart and having it ripped out brutally would do the trick. But yeah, it's a brutal scene. But again, it goes back to the horror film elements. This is basically a slasher film with, in many respects, with Rambo as Jason Voorhees.
And then the last part of the dialogue narration, he says, I tried to come home, but I never really arrived.
Yeah.
And then he's sitting in his rocking chair.
Like his father
and then the credits
would have sat in the rocking chair that Maria talks about earlier at the start.
Yeah. And then he show all these clips from all the films.
Now, this would have been the perfect fucking point for He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. With the montage.
Yeah, but we didn't get that. We just got nice little music. And then at the end, he's on horseback. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. And there's a bit of ambiguity with that, because there's a sort of suggestion that he died and that he's like traveling off into the afterlife on the horse.
Yeah, the rumor is they're doing almost like a Shane.
Yes.
Remember the movie Shane?
Yes.
A lot of people didn't realize he dies at the end of Shane.
So there is that
but
suggestion
because he's on the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was originally shot for him to be on the rocking chair, and then the chair stops rocking. But apparently, in post production, they changed that with actually CGI to have it still very subtly with CGI to have it still rocking. But I sort of got the vibes there whenever he's galloping off on the horse after the credits that that's him going to the afterlife. He's going to play cheap American football in the sky.
Yeah. With all of his buddies, Teasel and
Troutman. Well, actually,
Troutman,
it's confirmed actually as well. Whenever in that sort of voiceover at the end where he says, "Everyone I've ever loved has now died," that's sort of confirmation that Troutman is also dead, who's not mentioned in this film otherwise.
Oh, he would have been dead.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have to do the math on that one.
I know that there.
Fuck. He's 100 years old.
What do you reckon we should do, Johnny?
Yeah, there's the end of the franchise. There's not a shitty one in any of these, really. They're all entertaining.
Yes.
nothing will ever beat the original. First Blood is a fucking it's a masterpiece in Stalloneisms.
It's a classic.
It's the movie that you really his Stallone's first couple outings are his go-to. It's always going to be Rocky, Nighthawks, and First Blood. I like all the stuff though. I mean, I'm a big Stallone fan.
I'm a big Stallone fan, and I've always have been, and I always will be. I think he comes across as a pretty grounded and good guy. In the real world, and you know what? I watched this. I was a huge fan in childhood of his films, and I always have been, and I always will be too. So thanks.
And that's pretty. That's pretty much. I mean, his retrospective of this is it's a solid little franchise. It's not going to win any awards.
It's one of my all-time favorite franchises.
But it would be out. It would be out there. I wouldn't put it as one of my.
No, it's not my. I mean, it wouldn't be my favorite, but it would be certainly up there.
It's a franchise I grew up with. I mean, starting in 1980 all the way to 2019. Yep. So it's it's a pretty impressive. Pretty impressive duration. 39 years, 40 years or so. Yeah. So Jesus, that's pretty impressive. And to keep it going and still make money, it might not have made as much as the originals, but still held its own. So you got to give it credit. And in all fairness, whether you like the films or not, John Rambo has put a pretty big. He's a pretty big influence
culture
in the movie characters of the world,
and sort of Western modern popular culture. He's iconic.
And if you've never seen a Rambo film, you know who he is, though.
Exactly.
So,
by the way, here's a little factoid for you. David Morrell, the original author of the original First Blood novel, apparently hated this film, by the way. But do you know where he got the name Rambo from?
I can't remember.
Apples, a brand of apple in America. He was looking for a name for his character when he was writing First Blood, and he looked over and there was like Rambo apples sitting in his house. He said, "Yeah, there you go, Rambo."
I can't remember. If we said on the original podcast or not.
I think we might have actually. Yeah.
Well, we might have, but you probably wouldn't be able to hear it because Trevor fucked that up.
How would you rank the Rambo films in order?
How would I? Yeah. Initially I'd have Rambo 3 at the bottom.
Yeah.
But I'm going to move that up because I think this should be at the bottom. Not a bad film. Last Blood is not a bad little film. Most franchises, they're all decent, but there is a sense of continuity problem. I mean, it's got continuity, but it also has continuity. It has the Rambo continuity. But the problem is, did you need it?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the last one, it should have ended with him walking home. And that's the way they should have kept it. This should have been like Homefront, a one-off movie with Jason Statham or something.
Some people have compared this to Home Alone.
Oh, fuck that.
With the traps and stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely do. Nothing will touch First Blood. Then you'll have John Rambo. Then you have Rambo First Blood Part 2. Then I'll go Rambo First Blood Part 3. And then I'll do Last Blood.
I would agree with all of that. I would be exactly the same. 1, 4, 2, 3, and 5. Yep.
But I can watch them again. So it's not, just...
Yeah. For good and bad, the Rambo series, has been, a cultural sort of thing, a moment, for the last, since it first appeared in the early 1980s. Whether you love him or hate him.
With that being said, we're going to, there's a franchise we're about to talk about that knew when, which most franchises, I wish most franchises knew to do this, which is we're going to tell the story. We're going to do it in 3 films, and then we're done. And that is the Back to the Futures. So,
Great Scott. This is heavy.
Yeah, we'll be diving into that one next time. So, thanks for giving us a shout. If you want to shoot the shit or send us some feedback, feel free to do so on citizenframe_podcast. on Instagram, and of course, Facebook. That's it. I got nothing else for you. We're ending it.
Ciaran, I would just like to say, off the record, or you keep us in if you want, but I would like you to end this retrospective of the Rambo series with He Ain't Heavy, or that one by Frank Stallone from the second one. Play out with one of those power ballads.
Here's the problem. Copyright law, I don't think I can.
Will you put, maybe a clip of them?
I can't.
Oh, right, can you not? Oh, right.
If it's a theme song composed for the film,
right,
I can use it a minute or so.
Yes.
If it's written by an artist, the artist owns the rights, and I can't touch it.
Well, go and listen to it yourselves, then, people.
Oh, fuck it. You know what? Let's get sued.
Nope.
What's Stallone gonna do?
Nope.
We're here praising his work. He's not gonna sue us.
We wouldn't get sued.
Ain't heavy.
But the podcast people would pull the podcast, so be careful.
What was that?
The podcast people would pull the podcast, probably. They take it down.
Fuck 'em.
They take it down. For copy. That's what YouTube do. Copyright infringement.
Probably.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll sing my version of it.
Yes, we'll do a cover of it. A duet.
Yeah. Oh, no. Now you just ruined it.
What? You mean we've ruined these songs? You mean they were perfect to begin with?
Holy fuck, this has been on for an hour?
I know.
Holy fuck me. You gotta be kidding me.
I thought this was...
Did I fall asleep?
I thought this was going to be half an hour. I'm still recording here, by the way. We're still on air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, listen. Okay, we're out of here. Have a good one, guys. Take care of yourselves.
Bye-bye.